everybody, welcome back to Unimonks. My name is Padmanjali Chauhan and I'll be teaching you for the CUET history domain. We're going to start with the first chapter, Beads, Bricks and Bones. Now, according to the previous year's question papers, this chapter came for about 12 to 16 marks, so you know it's important. What are we going to learn from this chapter? The first thing we're going to learn is how the IVC was founded. Who founded it? Was it intentional? Was it accidental? The second thing we're going to learn about are the sources, alright? What were these sources? The seals, the houses, the ornaments, all of that. And the next thing is how these sources helped us understand the Harappan culture, alright? Before we start about the excavations and about how Harappa was founded, we're going to talk about the eras. Now, like Taylor Swift, the Harappan civilization had its own eras. They might not have been as glamorous, but they surely were just as advanced, especially when you look at the timeline of the eras, okay? So the first era we're going to talk about is early IVC. It lasted from circa 5500 BCE to 2800 BCE. And what we know about this era is that the Harappans traded with the Egyptians and with the Mesopotamians. Alright, they traded with Egypt and with Mesopotamia. So you know, so many millennia ago, the Harappans had international trade. Alright, this is very, very important. The next era is the mature IVC, which lasted from circa 2600 BCE to 1900 BCE. What we know about this era is that urbanization took place. Alright? Urbanization. And what do I mean by urbanization? It means like big cities like MJ, Mohenjo-daro and Harappa were built. Alright? The next era we're going to talk about is the late IVC, which lasted from circa 1900 BCE to 1500 BCE. In the late IVC era, the civilization started declining and we see the rise of the Aryans. Right, so as you know, there are many theories about the decline of the civilization. The Aryans invaded them, the rivers like Indus, the main river, started drying up, not just the Indus, but its tributaries as well. Alright, there are multiple theories about this, which we're going to learn further into the chapter. But what we know for sure about the late IVC is that the decline of the civilization started taking place and the rise of the Aryans took place as well. Therefore, we come to our next era, which is the post-Harappan era, which lasted from 1500 BCE to 600 BCE. In this era, we know that the Harappans moved from North India to South India. Alright? And why is this? Because the Aryans have taken over the land that the Harappans lived in. Right? So, the next thing we're going to talk about is how do we know? I talked about all these eras, but how do I know this information? It is through the artifacts that we found. The first and most distinctive artifact is the Harappan seal. It was made out of statite, which is a type of stone, and it contained animal motifs and signs from an undeciphered script. Now, because the script till date remains undeciphered, we mostly use the animal motifs to figure out what the seals were probably talking about or what the seals probably meant, right? Apart from these, other artifacts or other sources are the houses that were built, the pots, ornaments, tools, the weights, the baked bricks, right? Now, the most very important fact about the baked bricks and the weights are that they were of a standardized ratio, alright? Someone made sure that the bricks were of the same size and the weights throughout the civilization meant the same thing, alright? The weights were of a standardized ratio, alright? That if you move from Harappa to Mohenjo-daro, the weighing system did not change, it remained the same, alright? this is a map of the Harappan civilization. Mohenjo-daro and Harappa are the two main cities we're going to talk about. Apart from that, there are cities that have been found recently, alright? Like Rakhigadi, Banavali, Kalibangan, Chanhodaro, Dholavira, alright? We'll talk about these cities further into the chapter, but this is just a map. You can screenshot it. I'll erase whatever drawings I've made. You can screenshot this map. It'll help you remember the positions and the positions of the cities more clearly, alright? Who, what, and when? Who founded the civilization? When was it founded? What did this information mean for us? In 1861, Alexander Cunningham founded ASI. What is ASI? ASI is the Archaeological Survey of India. If you are a history buff, you know how important this organization is to us, right? He founded the ASI, and in 1875, he published his work mentioning about Harappa. Now, he made mentions of it, but the mentions weren't very substantial, right? Because he did not understand a lot of the information that he found from his sources. Therefore, his work was considered incomplete and it lacked definition. So it wasn't taken seriously, okay? Among the historians, among other archaeologists, his work wasn't taken very seriously. His successor, John Marshall, took over in 1904, all right? He took over as the Director General and he finished the work at Harappa. He continued excavations after Cunningham, obviously, the work stopped, okay? But when John Marshall took over, he continued the excavations. And after finishing work at Harappa, he started work at Mohenjo-daro. When he started the excavations, the archaeologists that were working there found out the similarities between the two cities, right? And therefore, the civilization, the Indus Valley civilization, was discovered in 1924. This is a very, very important date, all right? The next director of the ASI, Sir Mortimer Wheeler, took over in 1944 and he led additional excavations. His work is also very, very important, guys. We will talk about it further. We'll talk about how he changed the technique of excavation and how that technique made us understand more information, all right? With the partition of 1947, the major sites like Mohenjo-daro and Harappa went to Pakistan. But fear not, India continued its own excavations and therefore we founded the new sites. I'll take the help of the map to show you what exactly happened, alright? So this line, if you see, is the border between India and Pakistan, right? This is Pakistan, this is India. When the partition happened, Harappa and Mohenjo-daro went to Pakistan, right? But fear not, India continued its excavations and we founded new cities like Banavali and Rakhigadi and Kalibangan and Dholavira, Nageshwar, right? These cities are not as big as Harappa and Mohenjo-daro, but they're equally as important. Because, for example, in Kalibangan, we found agricultural fields. In Nageshwar, we realized it was a craft center, right? Discovering a new civilization. So we'll go a little bit deeper into what Alexander Cunningham's conundrum was, okay? So Alexander believed Indian history started with the Ganga Valley. This was not just his opinion, this was the opinion of many, many historians and archaeologists. His main interest was in early historic periods, which was from circa 6th century BCE to 4th century BCE. Alright, so when he found Harappan seals, he could not place them in this era, right? Because clearly the Harappan seals belonged to an era that was much before all of this. Therefore, when he found the seals, because he couldn't place them in a time frame, he could not understand or he could not coherent the information that was given on those seals. And that's why the information sort of lacked. So when Alexander Cunningham found the seals, he could not really understand, he could not really place them in the era that he was used to, and therefore he neglected this information. But as I said earlier, when John Marshall took over in 1904, John Marshall took over, he sent out two very important Indian archaeologists, Dayaram Sahani and Rakhal Das Banerjee. He sent Dayaram Sahani to Harappa, where he discovered these seals in the 20th century. Alright? And similarly, he sent out R.D. Banerjee to Mohenjo-daro, where he found very similar seals. So as I said earlier, because of the similarity of the information, of the sources that were found here, people realized, the archaeologists realized, that these two cities belonged to the same civilization. Marshall announced the discovery of a new civilization. And as S.N. Roy very correctly says, Marshall left India 3,000 years older than he found her. Now, before we finish today's lesson, let me do a little bit of a revision by making you answer a couple of MCQs. Alright? Who found the Harappan seals in Mohenjo-daro? We just did this. This was the previous slide, right? Was it D.R. Sahani? Was it John Marshall? Was it R.D. Banerjee? Was it R.B. Banerjee or was it R.D. Banerjee? You're absolutely correct. It was Rakhal Das Banerjee. This question, by the way, was a previous year question, alright? PYQ. So you know this is a very important question. The next question is, what material was used to make the Harappan seal? Was it stone? Is it faience? We've not talked about faience, so it can't possibly be faience. Was it steatite? You're absolutely correct. It was steatite. If you said stone, you were sort of there. You were almost there, but not really. It was steatite, which is a type of stone. Alright? The next question is, who was the first Director General of ASI? This again is a previous year's question. Alright? Was it Dayaram Sahani? Was it John Marshall? It wasn't Dayaram Sahani, guys. He was an archaeologist. Was it John Marshall or was it Alexander Cunningham? Alexander Cunningham founded, right? But was he the Director General? Yes, he was. You're absolutely correct. Alexander Cunningham was the founder and the first Director General of the Archaeological Survey of India. The last question is, where is Mohenjo-daro currently located? India, Afghanistan, Pakistan or Baluchistan? Baluchistan is in Pakistan, right? So it probably could be Baluchistan, but not really. Mohenjo-daro is located in the Sindh region of Pakistan. Alright? Therefore, the correct answer would be, it is located in Pakistan. Alright? Thank you so much for watching this video, guys. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up. Add a comment in the comments down below if you have any questions, and subscribe to Unimonks for more such content. Thank you.